All right, hello everybody. Welcome. This is me, Blake. I'm here on Trip Talk with Blake the Snake Roberts, and I have a very special guest with me here. He is current NWA wrestler, one half of the NW Tag Team Champions with Rodney Mack,
Yes.
Damage, and then their manager is Aaron Files, formerly known as Damian Sandow. Then he also formerly wrestled on TNA/Impact and many other bigger companies like GCW and much more. And we're going to be doing this interview, and yeah, so how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good all day. That's so the feelings in the name. So yes, little tired, but we just brush that off and we get going right to it.
Yeah. All right, so I'll start off by asking my first question. When did you start doing wrestling? What made you want to do it?
So I started wrestling kind of like how you typically get in wrestling. I fell in love with wrestling super young. I was like 8 or 10 years old. And then I did the backyard wrestling. Didn't really think about pursuing it until I was getting ready to graduate high school. And I thank my dad for that because I always wanted to do something like in film and entertainment. And my dad, I just remember one day just having a conversation with him as I was actually watching like SummerSlam up in 2003. And then he came up and he asked, and he was like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this yourself? And so it's just one of those like little life niches that just resonated with me. It didn't leave my mind for a really long time, and I was just like, hey, why not? What if? I just wanted to so then I found a reputable school, Windy City Pro Wrestling, and once I went to the school, saw their training facility, met Sam DeCero, met a few of the trainers who I still am friends with and active with today. They took me on, they took me in, and showed me the ropes, and I'm eternally grateful for their support and their training and everything. So that was back in 2003. So yeah, been killing it ever since.
Yeah. Was there ever a time you got to work for the WWE as like a bring-in or ever in your career?
Yes. So I want to say around the time of 2011, 2012 was when I really started coming in and doing extra work for them. And it also led to, from those experiences, it led to me actually getting my first tryout match with them when they were still at the old FCW arena back in Florida way before the Performance Center. So, but yeah, so I'm thankful for those unique experiences as well.
For sure. How does it feel to be one half of the NW Tag Team Champions with Damage, also known as Rodney Mack?
Dude, it's a blast, man. That championship holds so much lineage, and just with Aaron Stevens and the mindset that those two gentlemen have and the knowledge that they possess, it's just been so instrumental to me and my success in NWA and just as a performer and wrestler altogether. So they've taken me under the wing, and I think it's working pretty well because now we're sitting on top of the world as World Tag Team Champs. So La Rebellion was good, but I think BFT is 10 times better. But yeah, no, it feels tremendous to hold those titles.
Definitely. Who would you say has been like the stiffest wrestler you've gone in the ring with in your career?
The stiffest wrestler? I'd like to think I've been kind of fortunate where I haven't had any of those. I guess it would be like my old trainers when they, when they used to work pretty snug, and so I guess I kind of learned the process, and so I'm sort of used to it. So what others would describe as being stiff or snug is just a normal day at the office for me. But I can't really think of any real names though. But nobody wants to get stiff with me because they know my chops. So nobody wants to try to stiff me. It's like, okay, you wanna do that? This is the route we're going. Okay, I got a chop for you, and then all of that just stops. So
Yeah. What would you consider to be your weakness and strength in wrestling?
my weakness is let's see. I don't think I've ever really considered my weakness. Well, I'll tell you what was my weakness was the lack of ability to network. When I first started, I thought I knew what networking entailed and what it was until like I was surrounded by great minds, and then they showed me how to really network and how to really get my name and brand out there. So I think it was like being able to market myself. But once I started talking to people and they started like coaching me up and stuff, I felt like that really, what was once my weakness now became my greatest strength. Besides just being strong and just being like fast, but it's like once everything like lined up, so marketing.
Yeah. What made you want to go under a mask in NWA from Marshe Rockett into a new character that you unrevealed in NWA?
Just a new opportunity. I mean, there's always like people have seen me without the mask. People have seen me, as all day. I think this was like a new way to be a new testament, a new challenge to see what I could do and produce outside of like the norm. So I felt like it was a good way to just like kind of reinvent myself, because as I'm sure you're aware, like you always have to be thinking about, okay, what's next?
Yep.
So I look at guys like Chris Jericho, who has, just look at his lineage of reinventions that he's done, or like The Undertaker, and it's just like, you never want to just stay complacent. So I figured this was a great way to just revamp everything and switch things up. And I think people are really digging it just as I am.
Yep. Who would you say has been your first opponent in front of a crowd, and how did you feel going into that first match?
My first opponent was actually the lightweight champion of Windy City at the time. His name was Justin Adams. Hi, Justin. No. But Justin was really cool. I had a lot of fun wrestling him. Going into it, I was probably about as nervous as anybody could possibly be for their first match in front of like such a live, active crowd and like a scenery like this. But everybody I talked to, from my trainers and everybody they just reminded me. They were just like, you've been doing this for a while now. You've been training, busting your butt to get to the very point that you're so nervous and afraid of. So it's like, now it's just time to tie it all in there, kid. So I did, and it was a blast. I did not win the lightweight championship, which is what I wanted, but what I walked away with were new fans and a new profound confidence that I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, and this is exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, most definitely. If you could go back in time and wrestle anyone that has passed away, who would that be?
If I can go back in time and wrestle anybody who's passed away,
Yep.
oh, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie.
Yep.
Eddie Guerrero would be one. Macho Man would be another. Oh my goodness. And that's still such a long list. Eddie Guerrero would just be my number one, just because it's just like I've always been an Eddie Guerrero type of guy. I was a huge fan of his. So, I mean, I just think like the chemistry in the ring, we would definitely have some fire. So I think it'd be really hot.
Yeah. What do you think of now Paul Burchill in the NWA after his long disappearance from wrestling and now returning randomly to the NWA? What do you see in him?
I love it. I was always a Paul Burchill fan. When I saw him in WWE, I liked his work and I liked what he did in the ring. He has a certain intensity about him, like it's like silent, but it's just like, you know, he's not somebody who I would try to mess with, you know, just be like, hey, I'll take you, buddy. Like, no. He's nice. He's genuinely nice, but you cross him, then that's when you mess around, you're gonna find out. That's the type of vibe that I got from him. But no, I think him being in the NWA is a huge win for us, just because now we can get that Paul Burchill back, and I think his new look it suits him. He's even leaner now, so you know, leaner and meaner. So I don't know if that's a good combo to have. As long as he stays as a friend and not as a enemy coming after the tag titles, then we're cool. We're cool.
And I think this is like the first time he's ever got to get out of like that pirate persona that
Yes.
he did. So
Yeah.
it's like free for him, and it's something different. So I think
Yeah.
he probably feels better now in NWA.
Reinventing the wheel, man. Just
Yep.
reinventing itself and just being yourself, like 100%, dude.
If you could make a Survivor Series match including you with 4 current wrestlers from any company, who would you choose as partners?
Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, and John Moxley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got to have one crazy guy in there.
Yeah, of course. To do the hardcore work.
Yes, you got to have one in there. But I think these would be my meal tickets.
Yep. Well, who would you say, which wrestler has given you like the best advice and or compliment?
The best compliment and the best advice? Bro, that's a huge list. That's because I have been surrounded by some of the best minds, from the William Regals to the late great Dusty Rhodes. Currently now with Aaron Stevens and Damage of BFT, Trevor Murdoch. Like, it is a long list. But I will say, I am thankful that they even took the time to speak with me and to even share their vast knowledge with me, because I think it's helped me out tremendously. So, but the best advice is always be ready, stay ready, and go get the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tonight, you're going to be kind of reuniting with Allison Kay, just for like the meeting part. What is that like? Because you two are in NWA together here and there. So what is it like getting to?
It's always fun to see your friends and see the people you kind of like shared the business with, and like Allison Kay, like I feel like we here in NWA, here in Impact, now / TNA, like I think we've been over like that various vast independent promotions such as Tonight, Pro. It's always really cool to sit up there and just like see your friends, hang out, and I think tonight's gonna be like another fun one. We obviously got like a great crowd that's coming in, so hopefully that transpires into the ring and to the action here tonight. So looking forward to it.
Yep. What was it like during your time in TNA Impact? What is like the biggest memory of that time?
Definitely the X Division. Because that's where I mainly most of my tenure was with Impact, was in the X Division, and it was unique in the fact that here I was 6'4", about 230 at the time, but but I was wrestling with guys that are like, I think the misconception was because I was so much taller and so much bigger compared to these other X Division stars.
Yep.
So then people didn't think that I could go like that. People didn't think I was fast. But then little did they know when they saw I could fly out the ring and do exactly what they did at just a higher caliber or like, just high in stature and physical strength and stuff. I think that was pretty cool. But Ultimate X was another one because I hadn't at that point obviously never been in an Ultimate X, but it was funny to hear the crowd just keep chanting like just jump and get it, like so not needing to use the ladder because probably could if I didn't have everybody nipping and biting at my ankles trying to get me down. But no, it was fun to work over there and just like just hang out with and meet new faces and build new friendships.
Yep. Would you rather join DX, NWO, APA, or BWO?
That's a tough one. Such a tough one. I think NWO. I was always in there. Yeah, I just new like NWO. Mm-hmm. They have the vibe, and it kind of matches now with the vibe of BFT, man. It's just like we just put a little bit more with Darren Stevens. We just put a little bit more pizzazz on it, but it's like still the same world. We create our own new world order with some trauma, blunt force. That is.
I think NWA needs a new world order.
Yeah. Well, that's what blunt force trauma is. Huh?
Okay. Yeah. If you could have any band or singer perform your theme song, who would you want that to be?
Oh. Band or singer perform a theme song. Metallica. I think Metallica. Or AC/DC. I think AC/DC would be a good one too.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
I would like to see what they come up with.
What has been your most favorite venue you've got to wrestle at in your career?
My favorite venue, I really liked it when I first got to NWA. I didn't really get to see it when it first appeared, but when I first got there and they were at the studio and I got to see where it was like the big incline of seats come down and see what it was like I think that was the first NWA studio when they had that. That was on point. So that was my favorite. But thanks to COVID, that never really transitioned over to where I could do that. Mm-hmm. But when I was there and I saw it, I was just like, oh, this is the place to be. So.
Yep. What has been the scariest / most dangerous incident in your wrestling career?
I've had two. So I've had a few injuries. Like I've been pretty fortunate not to be seriously hurt. Like kind of some of my partners or some of my friends. I've had a concussion here and there. Nothing too serious. Mm-hmm. Probably my biggest one was that I had a slight meniscus tear that kind of like impacted my performance, I felt like, for my leg. And so I had to allow proper healing for that in order to get it back to where it was. The second one was where a good friend of mine, I tossed in the air, and how he was going to come down was like he was going to come down on his head. And so unfortunately I had to kind of maneuvered him so that he still landed pretty awkward, but it wasn't as severe as it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Mm-hmm. But he still ended up with a really bad concussion, and it was just I felt bad after, it was nobody's fault. It was just like a freak accident. Could have happened to anybody, but you never want to see your buddies get hurt. You never want to be in that position. Yep. So, but yeah, those were the two big ones that pertains to my experience. But I've heard other stories where it's like, dude, I do not wish that on anybody. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you are worthy enough to be part of a wrestling Hall of Fame, like Indie Hall of Fame or any type?
Do I feel like I'm worthy? I don't know. That just depends on like how others perceive my work. I like to think my work speaks for itself and what I've given and what done in the business. But I always feel like the Hall of Fame is for guys that are just like winding down or just like reaching that point into the end, like towards the end of their career. But
Yeah,
because of where I am career wise, I'm really like looking forward to doing more and achieving more in my career. There's still a lot of other places I'd like to go. So, will I ever be worthy? I hope to. I hope to be. But only time will tell with that.
Yeah. What do you seek to accomplish next with Damage and your whole faction there in NWA as the NWA Tag Team Champions?
Well, what do we look to conquer next? Well, hopefully we can add more gold, because I'll never say no to gold. More gold.
Yeah, of course.
We can be tag team champions. Heck, we might become world television champion. There's a national championship, and there's the 10 pounds of gold. There's EC3 sitting on. So I think like you can never have too much gold. So as far as BFT, if we keep this streak going, we're just gonna add more gold to the collection. I mean, we can become both U.S. tag champs and world tag teams. I'm not opposed to walking around with more belts.
Yeah. If you could add anybody to BFT, who would you want to see come into the team?
Jack Stang.
That would actually be pretty
Jack
good.
Stang.
Yeah.
Jack Stang.
If you could wrestle anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Besides the States, I did a small run. I did a small tenure in Mexico. That was pretty fun. To Naucalpan Arena. That was very moving. It's a different type of wrestling. I'd love to wrestle in AAA. So I think Mexico would be the next one to go to, just a little bit more. I had other opportunities that just when COVID kind of shut down. So hopefully can get back to being over there like more regularly now. But again, time will tell. We'll see what travel does and what my schedule will allow.
Mm-hmm. If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Fear the chop.
Yeah.
Fear the chop. And that's not me just being boastful. That's again credible to my work. There's been times where I have gone into rooms or not been in the room, and my name was dropped as one of people having some of the best chops, some of the hard-hitting chops. So thank you all to the supporters out there. But yeah, fear the chop.
Yeah. I think we might need a Marshe versus Gunther match.
I have
versus Chop.
Everybody has mentioned that. Like everybody's been like, dude, we gotta see. Like anytime, like, I want to see Gunther and Marshe chop. And I was like, yeah, I kind of just chuckle it off because I don't know what the future holds. But you're not the first person to say that, especially at the Royal Rumble. Everybody's like, you need to be out there in a Rumble because I want to see this thing, or you need to be out there. I was like, dude, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. He might come to the Indies and, we might bump into each other and it might happen. And if it does, I hope everybody's got a camera because you're only going to see it once.
Yep. Like Joe Alonzo, he made his debut against Gunther.
Yeah,
and
got chopped.
Yeah, and he's now an NWA superstar. So never say never,
Right, never say never.
If you could manage any wrestler now, who would you want to manage?
If I can manage, I think it'd be cool to roll with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits.
Ooh.
I think, oh my God, we would just have it'd just be wild, bro. That'd
be really good, yeah.
It'd just be wild. I think we would just have so much fun, dude. It's just be, yeah. I don't think I could be taken seriously because I would just be laughing so much. But yeah, yeah. or me and Orton. I think we could do some damage too. I think that'd be good.
Yep. I think you and Shelton Benjamin would be a great take.
Oh, so somebody told me, not as a manager though, they wanted me to tag. Somebody brought up, was like, could you tag with Benjamin? I was like, I will never say no to any opportunities that could present themselves, such as that. But if it happens, it happens. Yay. If it doesn't, it's just fun to think about. But yes, Shelton Benjamin and Athletic, we would do some damage, bro.
That would actually be really good.
Yeah. Ooh.
How did you come up with your wrestling name, Damage?
Well, for Carnage, it was just like, I mean, you gotta be I think it was just like, how would I perceive to, you know, if I wasn't the athletic source the caliber that I am, like, where else would I be? It's like Carnage. Like, that's generally what I like leaving, like, the ring, you know. But it just like, it was just one of those things, like, it just like clicked and it just flowed, right? And it was just like, okay, I dig this. So
yeah. Who would you say has been your favorite opponent so far in NWA?
Favorite opponents? I have to mention it again, Jax Dane. I could literally wrestle Jax Dane all day. I would have to also say Tom Latimer, because I know we had a one-on-one beforehand before I went underneath the mask, and we also Chris Adonis. Chris Adonis was a good match, yeah, I've had a lot of good ones, but those guys have been those guys have been fun to wrestle, fun to work with, and of course La Rebellion, like those guys were.
Yep.
I mean, just with BMT, like we tore the house down anytime that we went. So everybody's usually my favorite.
Yeah. Do you usually get along with most of your opponents, or?
For the most part, I mean, I'm probably I like to think that I believe that I'm pretty genuine, and unless it's said other places where I'm not in the room of, I have never had anything bad said about me, or certainly not to my face. But I think, like, reading the room, I think the overall general speaking is that, like, yeah, we have a good time. I know the stigma is like, the guy saying, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. I disagree. I think you can do both.
Yeah, of course. If you had one last match, like a retirement match, who would you say?
Don't say that. No.
Like, who would you want it to be against?
Who? I think Acid Jazz. Acid Jazz would be, because he and I, he was one of my trainers, and, you know, per the earlier time of my career with, before NWA, before all of this, like, I was a part of the faction of Soul Touches, so, he was, like, he's been my tag team partner, he's been my brother, he's been, like, my mentor, he has been a huge, instrumental factor in my career. So I think for sure it would be him.
Yeah. When you were growing up, were you more of like a shy, quiet kid, or outgoing, loud, and excited?
I felt more. I want to say shy. I felt more shy, and then I finally realized, like, a light bulb went off, and then I was just like, why am I being shy? I just need to be myself. I don't need to be anything. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I just, like, you either get it or you don't. And if I'm always making you laugh, then what's the point of being shy? You know what I mean? So.
Yep. All right. So I got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
What is one thing you would tell your fans? Enjoy
the ride. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of the fans who have supported me, loved me, and giving me feedback on if I'm doing something right, if I'm doing something wrong, and just who've always been in my corner. Because obviously, not just for myself, but for anybody lacing up a pair of boots, we could not do this without the fans, and this is who we do it for. So, and it's always cool to hear great stories and how, like me, I never think of myself as somebody who would inspire you or inspire into another individual, like even wanting to do or become a wrestler. But I have been told throughout my tenure, people join the business from watching me. It's very humbling to know that. I'm very grateful that I was able to not just go out there and perform and entertain, but I was able to help show the next generation, like, hey, you could do this too. So I thought that's pretty cool. But most important, just like, thank you.
Yeah. So do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
Any advice? The best advice I could do is, well, one, make sure it's something that you want to do, because a lot of people get into this business thinking it's for the faint of heart, and that they see like the lights and everything like that, but it's a lot of sacrifice, it's a lot of hard work. It's like with anything else, but with that hard work and with that sacrifice comes great reward. So if you are diligent with it and you really put your all into it and are consistent with it, I'm telling you, this business will take you places that you never even dreamed of. I never thought I could wrestle in other continents, countries. I never thought I would be wrestling. I never thought I would be wrestling in front of like vast crowds or television pay-per-views. So, yeah, just to make sure you give it your all and regret nothing. Just put the work in and see what you get out of it.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem, man.
And thank you for taking your time out to do this interview. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely, dude. This has been great. Now we got the fans coming in, ready to see somebody get their butts whooped.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see what you have in store for tonight. And
oh, yeah.
Everybody else. So, yeah. Again,
Awesome.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having all day. Marshe Rockett. No.